Hey guys, PepperAmmy here. This week we are making bagels. Now this is a nice simple recipe that I've been playing with for a few weeks now, and it is roughly my 5th time making them. Now basically you want to make a simple bread recipe by combining 350 grams of bread flour or white flour, 10 grams of salt, 7 grams of dry yeast, and 210 ml of warm but not hot water. Optionally, you can also add in some malt extract. Now, I only had dark malt extract, so these bagels may seem a little bit darker than yours might do, or they might just look a little bit darker than standard bagels. Now, you can mix the malt extract with the warm water to make it a lot easier to mix into the dough, but I find the malt settles at the bottom of the water and it can be a bit annoying to get it all out. Then you just want to mix all of the bread together and then give it a good kneading until it comes together into a nice smooth ball and a mostly uniform colour. Then you want to cover this in a lightly oiled bowl, or if you are like me, add some water, as I'm proofing mine in the dehydrator and this is going to stop it drying out. And then you want to let this rise until doubled in size. If you are using a dehydrator, you want to set it to 35°C or 95 Fahrenheit and use it to warm the dough for the first 30 minutes of the rise. Then let it remain proofing for an extra 30 minutes. This is especially great if you have a slightly cooler kitchen at this time of year. Once risen, turn the dough out and knock it back, and then divide into 5 to 10 balls. Now you want to use 10 balls if you want some nice snack-sized bagels around the size of mini donuts, or 5 if you want roughly regular-sized bagels. Now for the 5, this worked out for me personally around 110 grams for each bagel. Now to shape them, you can either roll them around on a work surface or between your hands, or you can make a O with your fingers and push the dough through and tucking it in on itself. This will smooth out the outer surface and you'll only be left with a small seam at the bottom which you can pinch closed. And then you want to let these rest for 5 minutes to relax the gluten. Once rested, time to make the iconic bagel hole. Now you can either press down with your thumb in the center, or pick up the bagel and use 2 fingers, then enlarge the hole. Now this is kind of hard to describe without it sounding wrong. And then you want to make it bigger than you think you would, as the bread will expand whilst baking and the hole will shrink. And then further let them rest for 10 to 20 minutes. Meanwhile, preheat your oven to 220°C or 425 Fahrenheit and fill a saucepan with around 2.5 litres or 2.5 quarts of water. Now, optionally, you can add in another 15 ml of malt extract here. This will help with the poaching and it will give it a little bit of that bagely flavour. Now, the poaching part may seem a little bit weird because why are you kind of boiling bread, but this is to give them their iconic bagely chew. And then once the pot is up to a boil, you want to reduce to a simmer. Now once the bagels have had their final rest, you want to place 2 to 3 at a time for larger ones into the water and poach for 30 seconds to 1 minute depending on how chewy you want them. Now the longer you poach them for, the chewier they will be. Now if your bagels do sink to the bottom of the pan, don't worry, they will float back up again. And then you want to flip them and poach for a further 30 seconds on the other side. And then you want to drain and dry and then place on a lined baking sheet, placing them a decent distance apart. Next, you can top them or leave them plain. Now you can use eggwash, but I thought I would give honey a go as this is my 5th or so time of making these, so I wanted to see how a little bit of sweetness would work. And then just brushed the top of mine with some honey and then added some seeds, but you could add some cheese or some dried herbs and then bake for 20 to 25 minutes. Now if you are making the small snack size bagels, you want to bake them for a little bit less, probably around the 15 to 20 minute mark. Then remove from the oven and let cool. Now the honey did darken the top, but were in no way burnt, and there you have it, some nice fresh warm bagels fresh out the oven. Now as for the remaining malt water, if you see it as a little bit of a waste, bear in mind it is only 15 mils of malt extract, you can use it for the base of a soup or a stew, or even poach some chicken, which I have done all of those before and they worked out just fine. But anyway, that wraps up this week's video. Now as always, if you like what you saw, let me know down below with a like and a comment. If you are indeed new here, feel free to subscribe for free weekly cooking content, unless it's like last week where all of my footage corrupts, and it's on your first week at your new job, which is why I'm also sick, and you have no time to sort it. But anyway, I will hopefully see you all again next week. Thanks for watching.